For more than 20 years now, one of the internet's biggest true crime rabbit holes has all come down to this one single haunting question. So let's just dive right in. We're going to look at what we know for sure, what people think happened, and, well, what's still a complete mystery.
Okay, so here's what we know as fact. No debate here. It's February 9th, 2004. A black Saturn sedan, it crashes, and it's on this really sharp hairpin turn on Route 112. We're talking a dark, super rural road out in New Hampshire.
The driver? She's a 21-year-old nursing student named Maura Murray. Now, a local school bus driver actually sees the crash and pulls over to help, but Maura tells him, "Don't call the police, I've already called for help," so he drives home to call them anyway. And get this, by the time the police show up, and we're talking just 10 minutes later, the car is locked and Maura Murray has just vanished.
That 10-minute window, that's everything. That's the whole mystery right there. What could possibly have happened in just 10 minutes? I mean, it's a question that's kicked off countless theories, podcasts, you name it. So let's dig into some of the biggest ones.
All right, first up is the most obvious theory, right? Maybe Maura was worried about getting a DUI, so she just took off from the crash scene to go hide in the woods. Seems plausible, but the people who actually live there, the ones who know that area, they have a completely different take on it.
I mean, listen to this quote. The way this local puts it is just so powerful. There was a Reddit user who said they live on that exact road, and they called the whole fleeing into the woods idea total fantasy. For them, that forest isn't some convenient hiding spot. In the winter, it's a death trap. Simple as that.
And man, the debate online about this is just fierce. You've got locals talking about how it's startlingly dark out there with these fortified forest walls, basically super dense trees. And they make a great point. No footprints were ever found in the snow. But then boom, the counter-arguments fly in. Someone will say, well, the moon was almost full that night, or she was a hiker, she was fit, or a panicked person isn't going to think logically anyway. For every single point, there's a counterpoint. It's endless.
So, okay, if she didn't just disappear into the woods, what's the next logical step? Well, she must have gotten into a car, right? And that line of thinking points directly to the last person we know saw her alive. The bus driver, Butch Atwood.
And for years, a big chunk of the online community has really zeroed in on Atwood. I mean, think about it. He was there, he's the one who spoke to her. So the question becomes, could the guy who called 911 actually be the culprit?
On the surface, the logic seems pretty clear, right? Atwood goes home, tells his wife to call 911, and he reports what he saw. For a lot of people, that's what a good citizen does, not what a criminal does. It doesn't add up. But, of course, the true crime community has a comeback for that too.
And this right here, this quote, just perfectly sums up the mindset of so many internet detectives. This person points out a classic criminal behavior pattern. Sometimes, the guilty party will deliberately insert themselves into the investigation, to keep tabs on it, or just to look like they're being helpful. So that 911 call, was it a sign of innocence, or was it something way more calculated?
This intense back and forth, it's not just for the big theories. It happens with every tiny detail of this case. So let's take a look at a perfect example. This rumor that just wouldn't die, about a mysterious, upsetting phone call. We're going to see how it got started, and then how some really dedicated online sleuths actually figured out it wasn't true.
Okay, so just follow the breadcrumbs here. It kicks off in February 2004. A local paper reports a vague story about an upsetting phone call Maura received. A month later, in March, another paper says, actually, police think that call was probably from her sister. Okay. Then, fast forward to November, and a third paper mentions a totally separate incident, a call Maura made that police couldn't trace. So what happened online? All three of these separate things got smushed together into one big myth, that Maura got a mysterious, untraceable call that made her break down. It's like a real-life game of telephone, but for forensics.
And that is the world of the amateur investigation in a nutshell. It's chaotic, it's passionate, and yeah, sometimes it's flawed. It's this huge search for answers in just a sea of clues that don't quite connect. But what about the professional side of things? What does that look like?
So while the internet is buzzing with all these theories, a real-deal cold case investigation is happening on a totally different track. It's way, way more methodical. For the pros, it's not about speculation. It is all about the evidence.
So first, let's just be clear on what we're talking about. Maura Murray's case is the textbook definition of a cold case. It's a long-term missing person, and the circumstances are completely unknown.
And what you're seeing here, this is just a little glimpse of an official cold case checklist. There is zero room for guessing games here. It's all about method. It's reanalyzing every single piece of data. It's going back through every single witness statement. It's pulling all the financial records, all the phone records. They even look at old weather reports from the night of the crash. You just never know. Every single one of these items could be the key that unlocks the whole thing.
And that is the quiet, patient, painstaking work that happens behind the scenes, far away from all the noise on the internet forums. It's such a stark contrast, isn't it? You have one world that's all about creating stories to fill in the gaps, and another world that's just trying to find one single, verifiable fact that can finally crack this thing wide open.
Which, of course, brings us right back to where we began. After all the years of debate, all the online sleuthing, all the professional, methodical investigation, what are we actually left with?
Well, for one, we're left with just thousands upon thousands of hours of human energy. So much time and effort poured into trying to solve this puzzle by people from all over the world who never even met Maura. And we have clues, a mountain of them. The packed bags in her car, the alcohol, the fact she refused help, the scent trail from the dogs that just stops dead in the middle of the road. But none of it, not a single piece, connects directly to a solid answer.
And that's really the hard truth of it all. After more than 2 decades, nobody can say for sure what happened in those 10 minutes on that dark New Hampshire road.
So we're left with this one last question, really. Why are we all so fascinated by this case? It's not just about finding Maura Murray, is it? It's about something deeper, our own need for answers, for closure. In a story that's completely defined by what we don't know, maybe the real mystery is why we, all of us watching, just can't stop looking for an ending that, well, might never actually come.